I'm Jason Mason and today we'll talk about EQ. Disclaimer, this video is more about the EQ mixing basics, so if you're an expert in music production, you better should watch another video suitable for you. However, let's go. An equalizer is that mystical tool everyone debates about how crucial it is and if it's necessary for your ideal mixing result. The short answer is yes. Equalizers, compressors and effects are must-have tools in every mix. I'm going to talk about compressors and effects in another video, so stay tuned. Mastering EQ techniques can significantly reduce your reliance on plugins, resulting in faster mixdowns and, most importantly, your mixes will finally sound professional when done right.
Chapter 1. EQ Types.
There are several types of equalizers. Let's begin with the two most prevalent ones. First, the graphic equalizer, commonly used in live concerts, home studios and prestigious facilities like the Abbey Road studios. Mostly analog, occasionally available as a plugin, it's straightforward to use and offers pragmatic frequency adjustments. Next, the parametric EQ. It's gained popularity due to its user-friendly interface. FabFilter Q2 stands out as one of the most renowned options. More on this in a future video. Parametric equalizers, my personal favorite, are versatile tools suitable for various studio tasks. Now onto the technical jargon. Natural phase, linear phase, what's the difference? And what in the world is a dynamic EQ? Let me explain. A natural phase equalizer delivers the most accurate frequency response, reminiscent of analog gear. It provides a sought-after analog warmth. Linear phase equalizers are unique. I prefer using them on my mixing buses. They preserve the phase integrity of the original signal while adjusting signal magnitude, resulting in a more natural sound. However, their complexity may introduce latency in your DAW. Next up, dynamic equalizers. Dynamic equalizers are invaluable for tackling problematic frequencies, such as harsh snare drums. They combine traditional EQ with dynamic processing, allowing precise adjustments within specified frequency ranges. So if you have a snare drum that sounds bad at around 2.5 kHz, just put in that equalizer and it will cut it out just when it hits.
Chapter 2. Plugin companies and their EQs.
So now we know what the main types of EQs are and what they do to your music. We now need some names of those plugin companies. FabFilter. Oh man, I really love them, let me tell you that. They're like that good old bakery offering you the best bumps and pretzels around the corner, and they're not even that expensive. FabFilter has the best all-around EQ you could imagine. One plugin, a lot of functions. It is a parametric EQ, as we learned a second ago, and it has a lot of more functions. Price value 10 out of 10. But I'll make a video about this amazing plugin later this year. Some other great vendors are Plugin Alliance and Plugin Boutique. They offer mainly different other plugin publishers, but only the best. Last year I saved myself a ton of money on those websites. Last December, for example, I bought some Universal Audio plugins. I spent like $300 but saved like 3,000. Just have a look at those great Brainworks, Lindell or Universal Audio equalizers they offer for a righteous price. Definitely check them out. Apropos Universal Audio, probably the best digitally modeled analog plugins on the market. Don't get me wrong, FabFilter Q2 is still the goddamn king of the hill. But what the heck? Those plugins are goddamn good. Last year I compared the original pull tag passive EQ with the plugin ones they offer, and they're pretty much similar. However, Universal Audio might not be the cheapest option, but they totally have one of the best plugins on the market. Another great company, iZotope. I don't personally use them right now, but I can tell you that those plugins, especially the mastering suite, is pretty neat. It is called iZotope Ozone. Why is it so great, you may ask? Well, it's easy to use, straight up high quality, and totally gives you a professional final mix. They also offer a lot of different EQ types you should have a look on. Sonox Oxford. Nothing more to say. That EQ is the real deal. Sonox also has a lot of other really great plugins like the Oxford Inflator. The one really cool thing about their EQ is it is modeled after the infamous SSL 4000 console equalizer. That equalizer you probably hear on every second song on the radio. Sonox Oxford might not be that known like the other plugin manufacturers, but their EQ is on the highest level.
Chapter 3. EQs and how to use them on your instruments.
You have a song, but it sounds mushy, very MIDI, and lacks of the expensive highs. Yeah, buddy, you forgot to use your fucking equalizer, you stupid piece of dog shit. All those great companies tell you they have the best plugin to solve your mixing problem a lot faster than the normal way, and it might even sound better. Short answer, yes and no. For example, the Cradle God Particle is probably the best newcomer plugin you could ever use on your mix bus. But if your EQing and rough mix is, let me say, not that good, that great plugin from Cradle won't help you either. If you have some recorded pianos, some cool e-guitars, or some cool percussive instruments, you better should low-cut them somewhere somehow. If you have nice drum cymbals, proper vocal recordings, or strings, you totally should look for the high mids and the highs in general. As you see, just use common sense. Your common sense combined with that practical stuff called work, with that you'll become a better mixer. One last thing before we move on to the next chapter, mid-side EQ. That is your weapon. With some plugins, you can separately EQ the mid and the side section of a sound, of a track, of your mix bus, and that is pretty cool. For example, you have a really great mix, but you have some background vocals on the left, on the right, and they're really bassy, which isn't bad, but you can totally just especially cut out that side frequency, that bassy one, with that mid-side EQ. For example, FabFilter Q2. I goddamn love that plugin.
Chapter 4. EQ Cheat Code.
Don't make your EQ curves look like the heart rate monitor of a drug addict. No, seriously. Surgical EQing, the type of EQing where you cut small portions of your frequencies out, is good and stuff, but don't overdo it. Totally EQ out phase interrupting frequencies between instruments. For example, the mid-low section of an e-guitar could totally crush your amazingly mixed bass guitar. Cut it out of the e-guitar and boost it on the bass guitar. Make a small cue and cut that stuff out, but totally don't EQ the hell out of your mix bus or any tracks which don't need that kind of detailed treatment. For example, if you work on the vocals, first off you should record them probably with an adequate interface. If you cut out too much small frequencies on the vocals, it might fulfill the purpose of doing your EQ stuff, but if you cut out too much of them, your vocals will sound like you've ordered Avicii vocals on Wish. Cheap, thin, and digital. In short, surgical EQing is effective for precise adjustments, but use it sparingly to avoid sterile mixes. Focus on making subtle cuts and enhancements, ensuring your mixes retain their natural warmth.
Chapter 5. Low Cut Everything.
Or not. On your mixing journey, you'll meet a lot of mixing engineers, a lot of guys who think they know something, and that's cool and stuff. But mainly there are two types of persons. Person A will tell you,
low cut everything unless it's a kick or a bass guitar. Too much rumble on the tracks destroys your mix.
Person B will say the exact opposite.
Don't low cut anything. It takes away the naturality.
Let me give you my 2 cents. Both totally works. You might record a band, you might have an EDM song, or you also might have an acoustic duo playing in a bar. Both approaches totally work. Let me tell you that. It's much more a question of taste, of personal taste. Me, myself, I like to cut all of the tracks in some kind of way. Not too much, nor too less. But I don't put the low cut too high. If you put the low cut up too high, your mix might sound too digital and soulless. As said in the chapter before, I personally like to remove some of the sides of my whole mix. Your mix will get more central and more powerful, and too much bass on the sides is not necessary. But I don't cut too much of it. But as said, it's all about taste. Experiment as much as possible with your equalizer to find your optimum way of working with that tool. As said, person A and person B are both right.
Final chapter. Practice the hell out of it.
Period. There's no shortcut to Chris Lord Alge level of mixing. Some people might tell you there's some kind of shortcut, but that's not true. You just need to put in the goddamn work. Rewire yourself, watch some mindset videos, and after that, sit on your chair and mix for the next 20 years of your life. All jokes aside, you need to put in the goddamn work. You need to internalize what's right and what's wrong. You could watch 1000 YouTube videos the next several months. That might help you, but in the end, you need to try stuff out. In the first 5 years of my mixing career, my mixes sounded like this. And that's totally cool. You first need to be bad to then become good. And please don't buy any courses of some Monster Energy, Kyler or Stanley Cup Karen, you can learn it with pure practice, great and foremost free videos like here on YouTube and a small breeze of patience. It just takes time. End of the story. That's it. I hope you liked my short little video about EQing and the basics. As said, this video was more about the basic knowledge of EQing and mixing, but that's fine, I'd say. Leave a like if you learned something today. Also, please comment me your personal EQ horror stories, the things you've done wrong in the beginning. Just let me know. Let me know if you're a low-cut mogul or a goddamn leave it natural master. However, until next time.